My report cards were a sea of C and Ds. Teachers wrote, "Not applying herself." My parents' fridge displayed my sister's honor roll certificates. My mediocrity was quietly ignored. I internalized the story. I was not smart, not destined for traditional success. I drifted into a series of unremarkable jobs. Yet in my marriage, I am the strategist, the calm center, the builder of a profound and resilient partnership that others envy. My husband, a brilliant surgeon, says I'm the most intelligent person he knows. I used to think he was being kind. Now I understand. The classroom wasn't my arena. Love is. Hello. Welcome to Hurt Stories. For most of my life, I believed I was stupid. Not in a dramatic, self-pitying way, but as a quiet, settled fact as undeniable as my eye color. It was a conclusion drawn from evidence. The evidence was every standardized test, every parent-teacher conference, every term paper returned with more red ink than black. I was Gemma, the younger sister of Alara. Alara, whose trophies for debate and science fairs crowded our shelves. Alara, who could look at a complex math problem and see, almost instantly, the elegant path to the solution. I would look at the same problem and see a tangled knot of numbers that made my brain feel fizzy and static-filled, like a television tuned to a dead channel. My parents were not cruel, they were baffled. They provided the same environment, the same opportunities. Why did one daughter soar and the other simply not? Their approach was a gentle, persistent pressure. Tutors, flashcards, study schedules taped to my bedroom door. I would sit at the kitchen table for hours, my mother patiently re-explaining fractions, while outside I could hear the other kids playing. The numbers and words on the page would not stick. They had no texture, no connection to me. I felt like a ghost, trying to grasp solid objects. The narrative was cemented in the 7th grade. I had a teacher, Mrs. Gable, who believed in public accountability. She posted our quiz scores on the wall. Every week, my name was near the bottom. One week, after a particularly disastrous geography test, she held my paper aloft, not showing the grade, but pointing to a doodle I'd drawn in the margin, a small, detailed sketch of a compass rose. "Gemma," she sighed, a sound of profound disappointment. "If you spent half as much time studying the maps as you do decorating them, you might not be failing my class." The laughter wasn't mean, but it was confirming. I was the daydreamer, the artist, the one who focused on the wrong things. High school was a blur of strategic avoidance. I took the easiest electives. I wrote papers on books I'd only read the Cliff's Notes for. I developed a finely tuned radar for the kind of questions I could answer, the opinion-based ones, the "what do you think" prompts. Anything requiring recall of facts or formulas sent me into a panic. I graduated in the bottom third of my class. My sister gave a valedictorian speech about the pursuit of excellence. I sat with my parents, a smile plastered on my face, feeling like an imposter in my own cap and gown. The story I told myself was simple. I was not academically intelligent. My intelligence was of a lower, less valuable kind. It was an emotional intelligence, perhaps. A people-person intelligence. The kind of thing you say about someone when they can't do anything else. I carried this story into adulthood. I worked administrative jobs. I was competent, organized, pleasant. I was the one who remembered birthdays, who could calm a frustrated client, who could organize a chaotic filing system into something beautiful and functional. These were soft skills. They paid the rent. They did not earn respect. I met Ben at a friend's wedding. He was a guest of the groom, a last-minute plus one. He was a surgical resident, radiating a kind of fierce, focused energy that was both intimidating and magnetic. We talked at the bar. He asked me what I did. I gave my standard, apologetic summary. "Oh, I just do admin work for a small architecture firm. Nothing fancy." He didn't nod and look away, the way most people did when they realized I wasn't a fellow professional. He leaned in. "Tell me about it. What's the most interesting project they've done?" I found myself describing not the admin work, but the buildings. I talked about a restored library, how the architects had fought to keep the original reading room intact. I described the feeling of the space, the light, the smell of old books and new varnish. I had absorbed this not from blueprints, but from listening to the partners talk, from the photos on the walls, from the palpable pride in the office when the project was completed. Ben listened, rapt. "You have a way of seeing the soul of a thing," he said. We started dadding. I was terrified. Here was a man whose life was a series of measurable, spectacular successes. Top of his class, prestigious residency, a future of saving lives. I was sure he would soon discover the void where my real intellect should be. On our third date, he mentioned a complex medical study he was reading. I braced for the moment my eyes would glaze over. Instead, I found myself asking a question. Not about the medicine, but about the people. So, for the patients in the control group, how do they handle knowing they might not be getting the potentially better treatment? The ethical weight on the researchers must be immense. He put his fork down. He stared at me. "That," he said slowly, "is the single most perceptive question anyone has ever asked me about my work. Everyone asks about the science. No one asks about the grief." It was the first crack in the foundation of my own false narrative. Living with Ben, building a life with him, became my real education. I discovered that my mind did not work in linear, abstract pathways. It worked in networks, in connections, in patterns of human need and systemic function. When he was stressed about a difficult surgery, I didn't try to understand the surgical procedure. I would ask, "What's the hardest part for you personally about this one? Is it the technique or the conversation you have to have with the family afterward?" I helped him isolate the core of his anxiety, which was often the human element, the part the textbooks didn't cover. When we bought our first house, a fixer-upper, Ben saw a list of problems: faulty wiring, outdated plumbing, a roof with 5 years left. He saw a sequence of discrete, expensive tasks. I saw a home. I created a multi-year plan not based on technical manuals, but on lived experience. We do the roof first because the anxiety of a leak will poison our joy in everything else. Then we fix the kitchen because we cook together and that's our center. The wiring can wait a year. We'll just be mindful. We'll live in the mess, but we'll do it in an order that preserves our peace. He called it operational genius. When his career hit a crossroads, a choice between a high-profile, high-stress research position and a quieter, teaching-focused role, he made spreadsheets, pro-con lists. He was paralyzed by data. I sat with him one night and said, "Forget the prestige for a minute. In which scenario do you come home at night and still have a piece of yourself left for us? In which future do you feel like you're breathing freely?" It wasn't a business question. It was a human sustainability question. He chose the teaching role, and it has been the making of him and of us. My soft skills were the steel girders of our life. My ability to read a room, to sense the unspoken tension at a family gathering and deftly change the subject. My knack for remembering that his colleague's wife loves peonies, making her feel seen and strengthening his professional relationship. My talent for managing our finances not just to save money, but to allocate resources toward our shared emotional goals. A vacation that reconnected us after a hard year. A surprise gift for his mentor. I was conducting the orchestra of our life, ensuring every section was in harmony. The moment of true epiphany came during a crisis. Ben's father had a sudden, severe heart attack. In the hospital waiting room, chaos reigned. Ben, the doctor, was trapped between his professional knowledge, which was terrifying him, and his son's grief. His mother was in shock. His siblings were arguing about treatment options they didn't understand. I did not have medical knowledge, but I had a different kind of knowledge. I gently guided Ben's mother to a chair, got her tea, and simply held her hand, saying nothing, just absorbing her panic. I intercepted a well-meaning but overwhelming stream of relatives, creating a quiet buffer zone for the immediate family. I listened to the arguing siblings, and instead of taking sides, I translated. I said to the cardiologist, in a calm, clear voice, "I think what the family is struggling with is a choice between aggressive intervention with higher risk and palliative care. Can you explain the quality of life prognosis for each path in simple terms?" I framed the chaos as a single, answerable question. The doctor, relieved to have a clear interlocutor, did. A decision was made. Later, Ben, exhausted and tearful, leaned against me in the hospital corridor. "You were the only adult in the room," he whispered. "You knew what to do. How do you always know what to do?" I finally understood. My intelligence wasn't deficient. It was contextual. The classroom was a context that demanded a specific, solitary, abstract form of problem solving. It required you to prove your knowledge in a vacuum, on a blank page, under timed conditions. It valued the recall of isolated facts. I failed there. But life, especially the life of a partnership, a family, a community, is a different context. It is a dense, ever-changing ecosystem of emotions, relationships, logistics, and unspoken needs. The problems are never single-variable equations. They are complex systems where the emotional variable is often the most critical. My mind is a systems thinker. It excels at integration, at seeing how the emotional, practical, and logistical threads weave together. It identifies leverage points, the small, precise action that can stabilize an entire wobbly structure. I am successful as a life partner because partnership is the ultimate applied science. It is a continuous, collaborative project in human engineering, emotional logistics, and strategic joy building. It requires the kind of intelligence that can't be graded on a curve. It requires perception, empathy, tactical patience, and the ability to hold multiple, conflicting truths at once. My husband is a master of the human body. I am a master of the human heart and of the intricate, beautiful, fragile ecosystem that is a shared life. He saves lives in the operating room. I build the life we come home to, the life that sustains him so he can do his work. One is not more valuable than the other. They are interdependent. So, to anyone who ever felt like a failure because your name wasn't on the honor roll, because your mind didn't work in the way the system rewarded, your arena might simply be different. Your intelligence might be waiting for its real-world application, in building a family, in nurturing a community, in creating a home, in being the calm, connective tissue in a chaotic world. The skills that get overlooked on a report card, kindness, perception, resilience, the ability to forge connection and maintain peace, are the very skills that build empires of the heart. And those empires, I have learned, are the only ones truly worth building. I failed as a student, but in the living, breathing, messy, and magnificent test of building a life with another person, I have found not just success, but my true and undeniable brilliance. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more story like this, please like the video and subscribe the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified.